दिया बाजू छाना बिलोरी लागला बिलोरी का घामा छंदिया बाजू छाना बिलोरी लागला बिलोरी का घामा नाके की नथुली नाक मिरोली हाथ की कुटली हाथ मिरोली लागला बिलोरी का घामा लागला बिलोरी का घामा छंदिया बाजू छाना बिलोरी लागला बिलोरी का घामा.
Hi, Sohail. Such a pleasure having the privilege of interacting with you. And I want to confess something. Maybe nice to do it online. You know, you've always been an enigma to me, always. Because I see you, I'm going to use a very strong word, vociferous, but in a positive way. You are upright, you are vocal, you are energetic, you're vibrant. Um, and most of us live in a world that is comfortable and diplomatic, and we kind of, tend to put things under the carpet. I don't, and I'm learning not to. But Sohail, I have to tell you from my heart, you've always fascinated me. And I think of a poem that Robert Frost wrote. So I'm going to quote it and I'm going to dedicate it to you. And it says, I took the path less traveled, and that made
all the
difference. So,
correct.
What makes you you? Why? Why are you so fearless? Why are you so fearless, Sohail?
You know, you're fearless when you have nothing to lose and when you have nothing to hide.
Mm-hmm.
My late father told me, he says, if you lie, you have to remember what you said. And that's too much of a burden, a mental burden, an emotional burden. Has it got me into trouble? Of course, it's got me into loads of trouble.
Wonderful.
Keeps getting me into trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But the point, Sharon, is if you lead an honorable, clean life, no matter what mud people may fling at you, it doesn't stick. And it doesn't stick for two reasons. Number one, you sleep well at night because you know you haven't harmed anyone and you know your own truth.
Mm-hmm.
The second is, Winston Churchill famously said, the only person you've got to be popular with is your spouse. If you're popular with your spouse, you're not looking at popularity amongst people. Those people are shifting sands. They will change tomorrow. So I've led my life, and I think what you and I are about to chat on, and I think Nainital was a great contributor because the mountain air, the purity, the innocence of youth, the fact that we could walk unaided through mountain trails, not knowing where the paths would lead us, much like your quotation from Frost, because he did say, two woods divergent, and I took the one less traveled. And it's not important which path you take, but what is very important is if you're sure about the steps in that journey that you're taking.
Oh, absolutely.
Those steps shouldn't be manipulated. Those steps shouldn't be driven by an agenda. They shouldn't be careless, and they should have empathy ringing around them. And if those things happen, you're home.
So let's take you back. I mean, you brought up Nainital right away. I was kind of, they always say, save the best for last. But look, listen, let's just plunge into the deep end. So this delightful, listen, you also are very delightful. You're extremely charming, I have to tell you. Oh, but you know all these things, Sohail. Now I want to
that's
smile,
very
but yes. So the leader of the pack is what I mean, but you don't even need a pack behind you. You lead as if you, I mean, army of invisibles, but it doesn't change your energy and your quest. When did this start? Way back in the hills, were you the leader of the pack when you were growing up?
I was never.
Seriously?
Was I ever, house captain or class monitor? No, because I was a a rebel, and in those days, a rebel without a cause. But what was important was, even then, I was cocksure of what I wanted to do. And I was very clearly anti-establishment when I thought the establishment was unfair. I was pro-establishment when I thought the establishment was right. For instance, in St. Joseph's in SEM, there were contrarian rules about tuck. And we had a brother called Brother Kunga, who said, oh, if you're class 8 to 10, you get 3 rupees 50 paisa. If you're class 5 to 8, you get 2 rupees 80 paisa. And I turned around and said, why this discrimination? Because we are buying from the same tuck shop. Then they had a silly rule that class 10 and 11, people would get toast for breakfast. The rest of us would have to do with plain slices. So I never fought, I never went on a hunger march or, a protest. All I used was persuasive logic to say, why would you discriminate over something that even Christ would not have discriminated? And being devout Jesuits that they were, they would debate anything with you except when it came to Christ. No one wanted to be crucified, no pun intended. And you always had your way. But you had your way in a charming, elegant, empathetic manner rather than through a protestation of some kind.
Wonderful. So, talking about, getting your way with the staff at St. Joseph's, and I too was very privileged to have, we had some wonderful teachers, but we will talk about that time permitting. If you had to look back, and just quickly, I'm going to take you off the beaten track for a minute. Education then and what it did for us. Education today. Is there a gap? Is there a divide? Is there work that has to be done?
I think that's a great question. The difference, Sharon, is in those days we didn't have a sense of entitlement. The best form of knowledge is when you're hungry. David Ogilvy used to say, always have an inquiring mind. If your mind is satiated, the learning curve will flatten. Your desire to know more will ebb, and the reason for existence will no longer be valid. There's a difference, Sharon, between education and knowledge. Education is structured. Knowledge is unfettered. Education is like a river. Knowledge is like an ocean. Education must flow from knowledge and not vice versa. The tragedy is we are so structured in our lives because we've been told that this is the way life must be lived. This is how you must perform. This is how society will judge you. These are the marks that you must get. So I'm a great believer in this adage, with forms of governance let fools contest. That which is governed best is best. So what you and I must worry about is, do we have knowledge that helps us lead a good life? Are we enriching ourselves every day?
Absolutely.
When you read Shakespeare, are you reading Shakespeare because of his theatrical craft, or are you reading him because of his acute people insight? When Brutus is killed, and Mark Antony says at the end of Caesar, the elements were so mixed in him that nature might stand up and say to all the world, this was a man.
Yes.
This is Mark Antony, who detested Brutus because of what Brutus did to Caesar. But look at Brutus. And this is relevant in today's India. When Brutus was asked, why did you stab Caesar? He said, it's not that I loved Caesar less, but I loved Rome more.
I loved Rome more.
So sometimes what you do for a greater cause must override your narrow-mindedness. Sadly, we have become victims of narrow-mindedness rather than embracing the larger, unfettered world that you and I are part of, and we must embrace with equanimity, equality, efficiency, and empathy.
I completely actually agree with you, Suhail, because I think, being a practicing Buddhist and all that, and we learn so much about inner empowerment and trying to look at life, differently. And I find that we are surrounded by boxes, and I'm so happy that on a personal level, and I'm still trying to break out of all convention boxes, because I mean, we have to be free. The world is a beautiful place. I mean, there can be free thought, enterprise, changing rules. Rules are so static. It's almost frightening, and the mindset of people seems to be just basing yourself on the approval of either your parents or society or neighbors. But that is so interesting what you said. I mean, and back in the day when we pick up beautiful quotes from Shakespeare and all that, it really, really does make you think. So maybe that'll be a topic for your next book, Sohail. You know, we need people like you. This is
Yeah,
what I've been trying to say.
you, you yourself have done such amazing work in the area of music.
We try.
I remember Evita vividly, which you staged in Calcutta at Kala Mandir. The point is, we did those things because in those days we were passionate.
Absolutely.
We had a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't driven by lucre, we weren't driven by greed, we weren't driven by avarice. We were driven by our passion, and we infused process into that passion. Today,
Not
what's
the other
happening?
way
I'm not
around.
saying, oh, our times were good and today's times are bad. No, the world's priorities have changed. If you look at the trends, if you look at the quality of leadership in public life, if you look at the quality of leadership in the corporate world, you know, we don't write letters to each other anymore. We exchange messages.
That is so sad. I
Messages were
completely
meant to be
agree.
exchanged between birds, not between human beings. We don't have conversations. We have monologues. We don't have salons anymore. The only salons we know are where we get our hair cut or our arms waxed or our legs waxed or whatever the hell they do. But the art of conversation has gone. And the reason why the art of conversation has gone is because we are fighting time with time. And the tragedy is, as Bertrand Russell famously said, if you want anything done, give it to the busiest man, because the man who does nothing never has the time. That's
And
how
as,
tragic.
and as Peter Drucker said, he said, if you want a great life, invent it. So
Correct?
really, yeah, he said, if you want a great life, invent it. So I'm just going to ask you a naughty question now, because you suddenly triggered my imagination, and a little bit of naughtiness is allowed. You said things about people not writing letters anymore. So I'll tell you a secret of mine, and then you're going to tell me a secret of yours. I got the most amazing love letters from boys who had sort of stamped violets and daisies from Sherwood, and we would get letters, and we would just sort of hang on to those letters. Did you ever write a love letter to anybody?
Oh, I must have written several letters.
Not must have, yes or no?
And my letters obviously were handwritten with a fountain pen.
Yes.
And I still remember I only used purple ink
Wow!
because I think that was the color of valor. It was the color of the brave. And, we were talking about Richard III, Purple Heart, blah, blah, blah. So I was trying to combine all those analogies. And we wrote lots of letters. We loved receiving letters.
Lovely.
And these weren't letters only related to the opposite sex.
Yes.
I remember exchanging a remarkable number of letters with my parents in those days.
I know.
With friends who I'd left behind in Calcutta, where I actually ruminated that, okay, today I went to the flats, and at the flats I was watching a football game. And this is what I saw around the flats. And that to my mind, Sharon, honed my skills, or the lack of them, for marketing that I do today. Because what Nainital allowed me to do in its serenity, in its placidness, it allowed me to experience life pass me by. I was literally not just a spectator or an observer, but I was an active insider in figuring out how people lived. What did someone say to the bookseller at the Modern Book Depot? How would I order a chicken bharta at Embassy? How would I skip past the doorman at the Boathouse Club? Those, to my mind, were the art of the deal, were the arts of negotiation long before Trump came onto the scene.
Absolutely.
And wrote that silly book.
But
But
talking about...
Nainital gave you that.
But,
Nainital allowed you explore yourself.
You know, talking about the art of letter writing, and I'm so happy you brought this up again also. Every letter that, we would, Friday evening was a time when we would, we would get our letters from our parents or our cousins or pen pals we had in those days. So hell, I had a pen pal in New Zealand, I had somebody in
Absolutely.
Nigeria, and
Yeah, I had many in Philippines. I don't know why Philippines. I think their stamps were very. They became stamp collectors.
and then yes, we'd become stamp collectors and we'd fight and say, you give me one of yours and I'll give you one of mine.
Yeah.
And I remember very clearly as well, letter writing then started fading away, and then Christmas cards started fading away. And I really, Sohail, I mourn this. This is a loss for me. Christmas cards, letters, cards, Easter, little notes. My father would paint birds on the left hand side of letters. I had a collection of, of the most beautiful letters. Each of them was a work of art, and we would share our hearts and our thoughts. And anyway, it is what it is. So okay, so let's go back to your years in SEM. And are you in touch with anybody? Any of your friends? Are you?
Oh yes, a lot of people.
Great.
There are lots of my, you know, friends from SEM who are now in Delhi. Some are in Calcutta.
Lovely.
One of them is still in Nainital, Pampi Virmani, whose father used to own embassy.
Okay.
I remember many years later, actually just about 10 years ago, Arun Jaitley, who was alive then, was the law minister under Vajpayee's government,
Yes.
was going to Nainital to inaugurate the Nainital High Court.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew that I was from SEM, and he says, do you want to go back to Nainital? I said, I'd love to. I said, but on one condition, that I must stay the night at Raj Bhavan. You know, Raj Bhavan has guest rooms.
Wow.
And I went into the Raj Bhavan, and then I remember taking Jaitley with me to St. Joseph's, to the school, and showing him the dorm, showing him the fields, showing him, where the tuck shop was, where we hid from, the Jesuit brothers. For me, it was not just returning to Nainital.
Mm-hmm.
It was revisiting a life that you could no longer live because of the hurried times we have embraced.
Have you been back to Nainital since then?
Nainital to me epitomizes the stillness of elegance. It epitomizes the joys which endure. And those joys, to my mind, Sharon, are unpolluted. They're unpampered.
I completely
So
agree.
that's what I look for in Nainital. And, our common friend Janvi Prasad, who runs Abbotsford there. Now, I've been dying to go back to Nainital for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And look at the tragedy. We are now on a virtual session for Himalayan Echoes.
When
we
it's so sad.
Writing down the and exchanging notes.
So when you went, with Mr. Jaitley to Nainital, have you been back ever since? Because I've been up a couple of times. Oh, I have. So
I did, but I took him to all my spots, and that time,
oh my God.
The other person in Raj Bhavan with us was Justice Kirpal, who was the then Chief Justice of India. So I took them to Boathouse Club.
Oh.
I made them have the chicken chaat, the masala chips. I took them to the Aloo Tikki Wala near Modern Book Depot. I took them to Embassy, where we had the same chicken bharta, the same buttered chicken. And it was extraordinary. For them, it was a restaurant. For me, it was a pilgrimage.
Of course. No, I've enjoyed I've made 3 trips to Nainital. Went back for, sports day and this and that. And, I went up to, have you seen Janvi's cottage? It is absolutely, it's a
No, I have to go. That's the point I'm making.
Oh my God. It is fabulous. And she has a restaurant, and she has a craft center, and she has the most amazing library, and she has a hotel, which is just breathtaking.
I know, everyone has told me nice things.
But you must. I mean, let's hope COVID, sort of becomes a long forgotten memory as most tragedies in world. I mean, war, people have survived war and illnesses. I mean, in school, come on, Sohail, we've survived chicken pox and measles and
I
smallpox
had
and
jaundice
scarlet.
twice. I mean, so you're right. I mean, it will be a
So
forgotten
we
episode.
we will come through this. Listen, we are tenacious, and I'm so happy that you are in touch with your friends. I'm in touch. You know, my class mates. We've actually managed to locate everybody, and we're in a consolidated Facebook group. Every single one of the girls who were in class with.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable,
Un-
fantastic. So one of the things that you said that you were a rebel, and you stood up for things that you believed in, and fathers, and I mean the fathers on the staff and the teachers were quite formidable because they maybe because we were very young then, and to be able to stand up to them, I really have to pat you on the shoulder. So that's another thing that I have to pat you on the shoulder with for. But um, if you had to kind of sum up your onward journey after Nainital, what I mean, I know we've talked about it, but maybe we can precipitate it. What did you take from those years in St. Joseph's to define who you are today?
I think both St. Joseph's and Nainital, in their own ways, contributed to who I am and what I became then. So,
Wonderful.
for starters, St. Joseph's taught you equality, it taught you fairness, it taught you the difference between right and wrong. I don't want to get into the theological comparisons between Catholicism,
Yeah, yeah.
Christianity, or Hinduism, but the fact is, we did go to church every day. We did sing and we did recite our Lord's Prayer. We did say grace before meals. It was irrelevant. I didn't think of it being anti-Hindu or anti this or anti that.
Yeah.
For us, it was a measure of thanking someone who is superior, superior being, the maker, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
So it taught me respect. We may have disagreed, but we were never disagreeable. And there's a difference. The tragedy in India is we've become disagreeable rather than just disagreeing with a point of view. It also taught me, to my mind, independence of thought and independence of deed. It allowed you to have independent thinking. And you're right, some of our staff members were formidable people, but they were also human beings. And I'm a great believer, if you want to win a battle, you have to win it in the mind. And you can only win a battle in the mind when you buttress it with logic, with facts, and with empathy. So you have to appreciate the point from which they come and then create a contrarian view or a conflicting view. What Nainital did for me was just unbelievable. I saw, and I continue to see in Nainital, it was like a magic box which was opening every morning for me. And I'm not even talking about the climate, I'm not talking about its natural environment. I'm talking about the innocence of people there, the genuineness with which they showered love on you, the trust that they reposed in you. So you were part of what I would call a human ecosystem rather than just living in a hill station. So to my mind, to sum up, Nainital made a man out of me, and St. Joseph's gave me wings to fly with. And if
Wonderful.
one was missing, I would be half the person I am.
So now I'm going to do a little nitpicking. What I want to ask you is, okay, how do I put this? What angers you? What frustrates you?
What?
What angers
Beg your
you?
pardon?
What angers you?
I get deeply upset when, for two things. One is I cannot suffer fools, and that's a very, very bad habit. I just can't suffer fools. And my problem is I call them out. So one becomes hugely unpopular, one then, is attacked, but par for the course. Second, is I don't like deceit. If you have something to say it. The reason
Yeah.
being that it's better to say it rather than, to go round and round the mulberry bush. Now, what has happened is, in this world today, we are more adept at being diplomatic without
Exactly.
recognizing, without recognizing the reality of our existence. So you've got to take a call. Now, the other thing which has happened, quite on the outside, is we are unable to compliment people. We have become criticizers rather than critiquers. You and I have both done theatre. We would respect a review by a theatre critic
And
because, some of them were real pains in your wear, but we would still respect that. That was a point of view. But it wasn't as if we were upset or angry. Today, rage has overtaken reason, and any society where reason is subservient to rage is a society that is going to implode. What you're seeing today is not Hindu versus Muslim, Christian versus this. You're seeing rage versus reason, and reason will always lose, but it will create enormous, enormous hindrances in the evolution of that society.
so now I'm going to ask you my next question. Supposing you were handed this country to run for 2 years, carte blanche, all the budgets in the world, all the money that you wanted, what are the areas that, I think also this is an answer that we're all seeking on how can we in our small way, you've done it on a much larger scale than I have, how can we improve our environment? How can we be better mothers and fathers and sisters and neighbors and all that sort of thing? But but I know that you will probably give me a very interesting answer because people who are watching this program, I want them really to know that in you is a restless soul who is only looking at the bigger good, And like I said in the beginning, there's so few of you, Sohail. So I'm saying, all things being equal, somebody just flashed a magic wand and said, "There you go, Sohail. 2 years to run the country. Bingo, and your time starts now." What would
So
it
the
be?
first thing I would look at four things parallelly. Number one, I would look at the whole universe of children. I would look at it as stakeholders. Why children? They're the future citizens of any country. I would look at malnutrition. I would look at knowledge. I would look at education. I would look at sports. I would look at primary, secondary, tertiary health for them. The second stakeholder, I would look at the farmers. Please understand, and I'm not even getting into this farm bill, that nonsense. We cannot ignore the agrarian economy of our country. And if we ignore it at our peril, we will have food shortages that will create civil unrest like you can't imagine. The third is the judiciary. Over the years, the judiciary has
Ah,
become more and more partial, more and more biased. It has become more and more unforgiving and pretty unfair. So I would overhaul the justice system. Amartya Sen brilliantly said in his book, The Idea of Justice, he says, justice is ultimately about fairness. It's about being right. And sometimes we are so consumed by the process that we forget fairness. The fourth area that I would concentrate on is employment, but employment which is self sustainable. Look, we have a zillion problems, Sharon, in this country. And to be fair to Modi, you may dislike him, you may like him. The guy has worked. There are a lot of things that have happened right. There are some things which haven't happened right. But you can't fault him for not trying. What has also happened because of the narrative, more and more people get the feeling that we are becoming more and more divisive. We are becoming a divided country. But this was the feeling that we had in 1947. This is the feeling we had in 1971. This is the feeling we had in 1975. And as you rightly said, it is our tenaciousness and our resilience which will help us overcome. So hopefully, not that I will ever get the opportunity to even run a colony, but yes, wishful thinking. Who can prevent me or you from being Walter Mitty for a few moments?
absolutely. Any regrets, Sohail, about the way your life
None,
journey
none,
has? None?
none.
Regrets, none? Brilliant.
Well, not a regret. I would have loved to do two things in life. One is learn to play the piano, and the other is to fly a plane. And it's still, time still hasn't run out. So let's see.
And you still have to go back to Nainital, and so that you can enjoy reminiscing actually as you see it. So hopefully you'll make
Yes,
that trip.
absolutely.
And any famous last words to all your fans and friends and colleagues and students that are going to be tuning into this program before we wind up? Because
I don't have last words. I don't even have advice. I always tell people, remember it's one life. Live it the way you want. Except don't harm anyone, don't be deceitful, and do things that are right by you and that are right by them. Enjoy life. Yeah, who knows? Tomorrow you might be run over by a stationary bus. Anything can happen in India. So enjoy life and have no regrets. I mean, people will take pot shots. You'll be vilified. You'll be abused. So what? Par for the course.
Frank Sinatra said, "I did it my way." Hmm? So
Which, by the way, is my favorite song.
it's your favorite song. Wonderful. And there's another quote that sort of fires me, which says, "To thine own self be true." So
Absolutely.
what a pleasure. I know that you have to run. You have huge companies waiting for you. Your time is limited, and I'm so grateful that you gave
I'm
this
delighted, Sharon,
platform.
and it's very gracious of someone of your talent, someone of your stature, for us to be in conversation. And thank you ever so much.
Well,
And thank you to Janvi for putting us
thank you,
together.
Janvi. Thank you to
I think
Janvi.
we're meeting after ages, and I hope we will now make it more regular.
Absolutely. So take care. Thank you so much, and thank
Thank
you,
you so
Janvi, for making this possible. Thank you, Suhail. Have a great evening.
much. Bye
Bye.
bye.
हाय तेरी रुमाला गुलाबी मुखड़ी केवली छजीरे नाक की नथुनी केवली छजीरे नाक की नथुनी हाय तेरी रुमाला गवे गलो बंद हाथ की दकुली गवे गलो बंद हाथ की दकुली चम चम चमकी रे माथे की बिंदुली अरे चम चम चमकी रे माथे की बिंदुली